Been a minute, people. It's been a while. But guess what? We're all here and we're getting some stuff done. Jahf Reach and Jahf come. I see y'all. Let me see. There's Paula, pick up yourself. Baxter, pick up yourself. Tatiana, pick up yourself. Hey, guess what? I'm trying to get the right angle for this thing. I look dark. Oh, yeah, I think that's better. Marcus, big up yourself, and Neoline, big up yourself. It's a blessing to be coming to you all today live and alive from the city of Jahf Reach. Avalon, big up yourself. Lori, big up yourself. Sherry, big up yourself. Whoa, that's a long name. Maria Stand Alone. Maurice, I Stand Alone. Oh, nice. So guess what? I've realized that there is a pattern. As I was saying, oh my God, why you? As I was saying earlier to someone, you know, relationships can fail based on no, lack of, or poor communication. Now, what happens usually is that we learn things from what society shows us, what our parents did to us or do with us, and communication is one of those things. Now, it contributes to lack of communication, poor communication, or sometimes no communication. And what I noticed with a lot of moms especially is that they keep yelling at their kids. So I want to encourage moms today to stop yelling at your kids. Hey, everybody that's watching this video, can you do me a huge favor and just hit the like button on the video, but also most importantly, share the video so that people on your Facebook can actually see the video also as it's happening live in real time. Because what I'm about to say here could change your life forever. Because some of these things, people usually don't want to have the conversation about it, and people usually are reluctant to speak about it openly. But I'm about to speak about it openly today because I want to encourage you to stop yelling at your kids. There is no need to yell at your kids. There is a need to articulate yourself better to your kids. Most importantly, what I want you to understand is the kids are not going to be kids forever. They're not going to be kids always. And children, quite contrary to what you were taught, children do not live based on what you tell them, but they grow up and live based on what you show them. So yelling at the kids basically tells them it's okay to yell at other people, to yell at other kids. And then they practice that behavior and they go on in the future to yell at their own kids when something doesn't work out the way they planned or they don't get the reaction they like. In turn, what they do, which is what you did and what you showed them, which is yelling. So I want to encourage you today to stop yelling at your kids, and hopefully you find these words to be encouraging and motivating and uplifting instead of bashing or hurting anyone, because that's not the intention here. But I want to say, I take the opportunity, as I see all of you live and alive here right now, I want to take the opportunity to tell you thank you so much for viewing my videos. Thank you so much for sharing my posts. Thank you so much for commenting. Thank you so much for participating, because really and truly, this is about us. You know, this is about us doing better as people, and this is us doing better together. Because some of these conversations need to be had. You know, unfortunately, there's some people who would critique you, try to diagnose you with something terrible or bad, instead of coming to reality and saying, hey, guess what? You know what? I've had that problem before. You know what? I've seen myself doing that before. Hey, guess what? I've done that before, but I'm not proud of it. Because this is what sometimes they get out of hand, so they need a little yelling. No, it's not appropriate. We wanna encourage proper communication patterns. And in order to do that, you have to remember that change starts with you. Change starts with me. I always remind people, Michael Jackson's song says, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. And I'm asking him to change his ways. Who's the man in the mirror? Who's the female in the mirror? So if change starts with you, I do not think any of us likes yelling or would not appreciate our parents yelling at us. So why in turn would you do that to your kids? It's not appropriate. It's just not the right way. It doesn't sound good either. You know, and listen, if you're gonna yell at your kids and they get used to you yelling at them, could you imagine you have a daughter and a man yells at her? She thinks it's okay because you yelled at her. You told her you loved her and you yelled at her. And she got used to you yelling at her. So now she aligns yelling with love. You yourself know you don't want any guy yelling at you. Imagine you have a son and a woman that says she loves him is yelling at him. But he says, Mommy loved me and she yells at me. And she yelled at me. So he aligns love with yelling. It's not appropriate. It's not fun. You need to think deeper. We need to ask questions why. We need to question things. I was saying to somebody earlier this week, if you're listening to understand, your immediate response after somebody is finished speaking would be a question. It won't be a statement. It won't be any or everything that you're used to. But your immediate response after you listened to understand would be a question. So I want you to remember that. If you're going to write it down, you're going to store it somewhere in your phone, you're going to make it a marker and put it on your refrigerator. But I want you to remember, if you're listening to have a conversation, you're listening to understand, you're listening to achieve something, your immediate response after somebody's finished speaking would be a question. It won't be what I want to say and I know better, nobody can tell me, and this is Canada and I'm a woman. And no, that won't be a response. A response would be a question. Do you yell at your kids, to be honest? No, I've never had to yell at my kids. I practice proper communication. And I believe that kids, our job as parents is to make our kids prepared, so we prepare our kids for the next level of their life. That's our job as parents. That's our only job as parents. Quite contrary to what people believe, that your job as a parent is to do this and to do that. No, that's not your job as a parent. Your job as a parent is to prepare your kids for the next level of their lives. So when you are not around in high school, you're not around in college, while they're in college and everything, while they move out, you have taught them well enough that they have the basic survival instincts to make it without your guidance. That's your only job as a parent. You ever speak your kids? Patrice, sorry, but I think you need to reword the sentence. I didn't really fully get it. Or spank. You ever spank your kids? Sorry, I'm looking at the phone in like this as opposed to like this. So you ever spank your kids? No, I have not felt the need to spank my kids. My kids are very well behaved. Everybody says that, but I know that myself. There's no need to spank them. You know, I don't really believe in that because, again, it's the same principle with yelling at your kids. If you're yelling at your kids, you're showing them that it's okay for people to yell at them. You're showing them that it's okay to yell at other people, and they continue that pattern as they keep growing. So spanking is the same thing. If you're going to spank your kids, you're telling them it's okay to be violent. It's okay to react to people violently when you don't get the results you determined. Right? If you determine a certain behavior from your kids and you didn't get those results, what do? You spank them. So what do you tell your kids in turn? You're basically telling them it's okay to be violent or to accept violence. Domestic violence from a woman, domestic violence from a man. Because guess what? You know what? It's okay. I deserve to be hit or spanked by him or her in this relationship because I didn't do what he expected. So you have to understand, this is a very serious thing. A lot of people look at these things as mediocre. I'm looking at it in depth. You are contributing to the problem when you continue to do the things that you did not like or would not like for yourself. So be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. Spanking, it won't work. Yelling, it won't work. Anything that you do not like or did not like for yourself growing up as a kid or even as an adult why would you give that or hand that down to your kids so they can continue that terrible pattern? Patrice, I hope I answered your question. And Avalon, I hope I answered your question also. But this is the reality of the situation. The teacher I work with yells at the kids I work with. Also, it sends him into fight flight state, and that is where the brain goes. It's all on YouTube, and science shows that. Most definitely. Studies have shown, the spanking. So they took corporal punishment out of the school curriculum some years ago, and a lot of people were outraged at this. But I'm happy they did that, because in reality, it is a form of abuse. None of us wants to be hit. None of us wants to be touched inappropriately or appropriately. We all want to be able to give consent before we are touched, before we are spanked, before we are yelled at. If you ask every and any kid right now if they like being yelled at, they would tell you no. Unless you inject fear in them, they might respond differently. But no one wants to be yelled at. Nobody wants to be hit or spanked. I need to stop hitting and yelling at my nieces and nephew and godchildren, because I never look at this from your point of view. Well, of course, and nothing's wrong with that. There's no right or wrong answer. This is why we need to have the conversation, Patrice, because, people don't look at it in depth. They only go based on what they were trained to be. But I want to remind you today that you're not a snake, right? I'll tell you a short story about a snake and a man. And this story should, in turn, give you the results of how you should behave from here on out. Here's the short story. There was once a snake and a man trapped in a tree, and they couldn't be rescued immediately. So they decided to share the food that was left on the tree so they both can survive. The man said to the snake, listen, look how well we get along up here. So we should become friends. The snake said to the man, of course, we are friends now. The man said, because we are friends now, when we get rescued from this tree, I hope you do not bite me or sting me. The snake said, I would not bite you or sting you. Lo and behold, they were being rescued a few days after that. The man reminded the snake, remember, you said you're not going to bite me or sting me when we got off the tree. The snake said, I gave you my word, I will not sting you. As soon as they got off the tree and the man turned his back, the snake bit him and stung him. The man said to the snake, I thought you gave me a word that you won't bite me or sting me. The snake said to the man, I'm a snake. That's what I do. I bite and sting people. I want to remind you today that you are not a snake. So whatever you were trained to do, you can retrain yourself, you can retrain your mind, and you can retrain others also. You are not a snake. If you're going to remember any and everything from this video today, I want you to know that you are not a snake. You do not have to live, be, or believe what you were taught. You can train and retrain your minds that your lifestyle, your responses, your reaction, and your maturity level could be different. This is not the time for us to speculate, procrastinate, or even hate. This is the time for us to have better understanding of ourselves first, better understanding of our roles as human beings based on our specific genders, especially because I do believe our roles differ when it comes to our gender. That can be debatable, however, that's just my belief. And I know there's a purpose for each of us being here. Not here in this video, not here in your vicinity where you are currently, but here in this life. There is a purpose, a specific purpose for each and every one of us. That's why we're here. That's why we survived this long. And I want to remind you today that if you can think it, you can believe it. And if you can believe it, you can achieve it. I want to thank you all so much for watching, so much for viewing. Hey, listen, you can find me everywhere at Jahf Reach, that's Jahf Reach, like I'm about to reach over there. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Hey, guess what? Don't forget to follow also. And importantly, don't keep the message to yourself. Please share it with someone else. Until the next one, it's Jahf Reach, not Jahf Come. Salute. cabah.